All right, we're about to dig into a material that is literally all around you, but you've probably never given it a second thought. It's something that connects ancient history to the future of technology. So let's get right into it. Okay, so here's a question for you. What could your breakfast bowl possibly have in common with a space shuttle? I mean, really think about it. One holds your cereal, the other flies into orbit. Seems impossible, right? The answer is ceramics. And I know what you're thinking. Pottery, plates, mugs, but it is so much more than that. This is one of the oldest and most important technologies in all of human history, and it's still shaping our world today. So how did this all start? We have to go way back to the very first discovery. Just try to imagine you're an early human. You're playing around with some wet clay from a riverbank. It's soft and squishy. You leave it near the campfire overnight, and in the morning, it's rock solid. It's turned into stone. That moment right there was an absolute game changer for humanity. And just like that, some of the biggest problems of daily life had a solution. How do you carry water from the river back to your camp? Put it in a pot. How do you store the berries you just gathered? Pot. And maybe most importantly, how do you protect your precious grain from pests like mice and insects? You seal it in a ceramic jar. Okay, so making pots was a huge leap, but that was just the beginning. The real revolution came when we figured out how to make them better, stronger, and way faster. This is where the pottery wheel comes in. And get this, it was basically one of the very first machines for mass production. Ever. Instead of slowly building a pot by hand, you could now spin the clay and create these beautiful, uniform, thin-walled vessels in a fraction of the time. It was a total revolution in manufacturing. But just making pots faster wasn't enough. You also had to cook them right. See, just tossing a pot in a campfire is super unpredictable. You get uneven heat, cracks, it's a mess. So, people invented the kiln. Think of it like a super hot, high-tech oven specifically designed for clay. It gives you total control over the temperature. And when I say hot, I mean really hot. We're talking temperatures over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That intense, controlled heat is what triggers a permanent chemical change, turning soft clay into hard ceramic. So the whole process is pretty straightforward, but every step is crucial. First, you shape the wet clay. Then, and this is important, you let it air dry completely. And finally, you fire it in the kiln. After that, the change is permanent. There's no going back. You can't just add water and get mud again. It's a new material. All right, so now we've got the tools, the wheel, and the kiln. The next step for humanity was to start perfecting the material itself. This is where ceramics really starts to become both a science and an art.
Because it turns out not all clay is created equal. You've got earthenware, which is fired at a pretty low temperature. It's a bit porous, perfect for things like flower pots. Then you have stoneware, fired much hotter. It becomes super strong and dense, just like stone. That's what most of your dinner plates are made of. And at the top of the pyramid is porcelain. Fired at crazy high temperatures, it becomes incredibly strong, pure white, and can even be a little see-through.
The next big breakthrough was something called glaze. The easiest way to think about it is like liquid glass. You just paint this stuff onto your dried clay pot, and when it goes into the kiln, the glaze melts and fuses right onto the surface, creating this beautiful, hard, glassy coating. So why does this matter so much? Well, without glaze, a pot is still a tiny bit porous, like a sponge. It'll slowly leak water and it stains really easily. But once you add a glaze, boom, it's completely waterproof. Now you can use it for soup, it's a breeze to clean, plus you can add all sorts of amazing colors. It makes pottery way more useful. So with all these incredible advancements, ceramics went from being just useful tools to something much more. They became a canvas for culture and a permanent record of human history. And you can see it all through time. In ancient Mesopotamia, some of the first writing wasn't on paper, it was on clay tablets. The ancient Greeks used their vases to tell epic stories of gods and heroes. In China, they perfected porcelain, which was so valuable it was known as white gold. And then, fast forward to the Industrial Revolution, and suddenly factories are churning out ceramic dishes for everybody, not just the rich. One of the coolest things about ceramics is that they're practically indestructible. They don't rust like metal or rot like wood. So for an archaeologist, finding even a tiny broken piece of pottery is like finding a puzzle piece from the past. It can tell them everything, how people lived, what they ate, and even who they were trading with thousands of years ago. And that brings us all the way to the present day. If you thought the story was interesting so far, well, this is where it gets really mind-blowing. We're going from the kitchen to outer space. Think about why your coffee mug works. It's durable and it can handle heat, right? Well, modern science has taken those exact same properties and pushed them to the absolute limit. We're talking about advanced ceramics. Those tiles that protect a space shuttle from burning up on re-entry, that's ceramic. The tiny insulators in your smartphone and computer, ceramic. Super strong parts in car engines, ceramic. Even medical implants like artificial joints are often made from high-tech ceramics. Just pause and think about that. The exact same basic idea that let our ancestors store their first meals is now helping us explore the stars. It's this incredible unbroken thread of technology and discovery that stretches across all of human history. So yeah, from the simple mud under our feet to the vastness of space, ceramics have been with us the entire time. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the next big problem this ancient but also incredibly futuristic material is going to solve?